The moment a woman walks into a room, before a single word is spoken, before a smile is exchanged, before a message is typed, something invisible begins to unfold. Energy reads energy, presence evaluates presence, and without announcing it, without sending a memo, without asking permission, a man begins to observe, not in a loud way, not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, instinctive way. The truth that many women never get told is this: tests are happening in silence. They are subtle, they are emotional, they are psychological, and the woman who understands this does not panic, does not perform, does not chase approval. She simply stays grounded in her own power. Because passing these tests has nothing to do with pretending to be perfect and everything to do with remaining centered when pressure appears. The first silent test is emotional stability. When plans change unexpectedly, when attention shifts slightly, when replies slow down, when life becomes busy, what happens inside you? Does anxiety take over? Does overthinking begin to spiral? Does the urge to demand reassurance rise immediately? A man watches how you handle uncertainty, not because cruelty is involved, but because long-term connection requires emotional regulation. Life will not always be smooth. Stress will happen. Conflict will appear. If small inconveniences create chaos, that signals future storms. Passing this test means breathing before reacting. It means allowing space without creating drama. It means trusting your own value so deeply that temporary silence does not feel like abandonment. Emotional stability is magnetic because it communicates maturity without saying a word. Another silent test revolves around boundaries. How easily are your standards negotiated? How quickly do you bend when attention is given? Do you cancel important plans to be available at the last minute? Do you tolerate disrespect disguised as jokes? A man observes how you treat your own time. If you treat it casually, others will too. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They show that your life is full, meaningful, and structured. Passing this test does not require confrontation or aggression. It requires calm firmness. I'm not available then. That doesn't work for me. I prefer something different. When said with softness and certainty, boundaries increase respect. Desperation lowers it. Standards raise it. There is also the independence test. Does your happiness depend entirely on external validation? When attention flows, are you glowing? And when it pauses, are you collapsing? A grounded woman has a life that existed long before any romantic interest appeared. She has ambitions, friendships, routines, spiritual practices, passions. A man senses whether he is meeting a whole person or becoming the center of someone's world too quickly. The passing strategy is simple but powerful. Maintain your life. Keep your goals alive. Continue building yourself. Attraction thrives where individuality remains intact. Over-attachment too soon feels heavy. Confidence feels light. Silence itself becomes a test. When there is a pause in conversation, do you rush to fill it? Do you overshare to avoid awkwardness? Comfort with silence signals inner peace. Discomfort with silence signals insecurity. Strong feminine energy does not scramble to impress. It allows moments to breathe. Mystery is not manipulation, it is restraint. Sharing everything instantly leaves no room for discovery. Passing this test means allowing curiosity to build naturally. Speak with intention, not anxiety. Conflict is another arena of silent evaluation. Disagreement will appear at some point. Maybe values clash slightly. Maybe expectations differ. Maybe misunderstandings occur. When tension rises, does communication turn into accusation? Or does it become clarity? A woman who can express concerns without attacking character demonstrates emotional intelligence. I felt confused when that happened. I value consistency. Can we align on this? Calm articulation shows strength. Explosive reaction shows instability. Passing this test means separating feelings from identity. Address the issue, not the person. Maintain dignity even when emotions are strong. Jealousy is also quietly observed. How secure are you when other women are present? Do comparisons begin? Does possessiveness emerge? Confidence does not compete unnecessarily. A secure woman knows her uniqueness. She does not shrink in the presence of others, nor does she attempt to dominate. She trusts that if alignment exists, it will remain. If it does not, forcing it will never create safety. Passing this test requires internal affirmation. Remind yourself of your value daily. When you know who you are, no outside presence feels threatening. There is a patience test as well. In a world addicted to instant gratification, patience is rare and powerful. Do you demand immediate labels, immediate commitment, immediate guarantees? Rushing intimacy can create pressure that suffocates potential. Growth takes time. Observation takes time. Trust takes time. Passing this test does not mean accepting breadcrumbs. It means allowing connection to unfold at a healthy pace. Impatience often masks fear. Patience signals security. Financial mindset is another unspoken evaluation, not about wealth, but about attitude. Are you responsible? Are you driven? Do you respect ambition? Or do you expect to be rescued? Partnership thrives where both individuals contribute value. Contribution can be emotional, intellectual, spiritual, financial, creative. Passing this test means showing initiative in your own life. Ambition is attractive because it reflects self-respect. The social awareness test is subtle but powerful. How do you treat service staff? How do you speak about friends? How do you handle public settings? A person's character reveals itself in small interactions. Disrespect toward others signals future disrespect. Passing this test means kindness remains consistent across environments. Authentic class is not performance, it is habit. Consistency is another silent measure. Do your words align with your actions? If you say you value honesty, do you practice it? If you say you dislike drama, do you avoid creating it? Integrity builds trust faster than charm. Passing this test requires alignment between identity and behavior. Authenticity eliminates confusion. Emotional availability is observed quietly. Are you open to vulnerability, or are walls so high that connection cannot enter? Independence should not become emotional avoidance. Strength should not become coldness. Passing this test means allowing softness without losing boundaries. Share pieces of your story gradually. Let depth develop. Controlled vulnerability builds intimacy. Oversharing too soon creates imbalance. Complete detachment creates distance. The self-respect test appears when compromise is requested. Healthy compromise strengthens bonds. Self-betrayal weakens them. Can you adjust without abandoning your core values? Passing this test means knowing the difference between flexibility and self-sacrifice. Never shrink to fit into comfort zones that limit growth. Communication style is constantly evaluated. Do you listen actively or wait for your turn to speak? Curiosity deepens connection. Interruptions weaken it. Passing this test means asking meaningful questions and truly absorbing answers. People feel valued when heard. The reaction to success is another indicator. When a man shares achievements, do you celebrate genuinely or minimize? Supportive energy creates safety. Competitive energy creates tension. Passing this test means embracing abundance mindset. Another person's growth does not diminish yours. Then comes the resilience test. When life becomes challenging, when stress appears, when circumstances shift, do you remain adaptable? Strength is not loud, it is steady. Passing this test means cultivating inner stability long before a relationship begins. Build coping skills, develop emotional tools, heal unresolved wounds. Unhealed pain often reacts defensively under pressure. There is also the authenticity test. Are you presenting a curated persona to impress, or are you comfortable being real? Performance exhausts, authenticity relaxes. Passing this test requires self-acceptance. When you approve of yourself, you no longer audition for approval. Attention management becomes a silent observation. Do you flood with constant messages or allow natural rhythm? Over-availability can unintentionally lower perceived value. Passing this test means maintaining balance. Respond thoughtfully. Live fully. Let communication complement life, not consume it. The forgiveness test appears when mistakes happen. Can you address hurt without holding endless grudges? Accountability should exist, but so should grace. Passing this test means distinguishing between patterns and isolated incidents. Boundaries protect, bitterness poisons. Humor and lightness are quietly noticed. Can you laugh at minor mishaps, or does everything feel heavy? Joyful energy invites closeness. Chronic seriousness can create distance. Passing this test means nurturing playfulness within maturity. The self-care test is visible in how you treat your own body and mind. Do you prioritize health, rest, growth? Neglecting yourself signals low self-worth. Passing this test means demonstrating that you value your own well-being. Self-care is not vanity, it is responsibility. There is also the test of how you handle praise. Do compliments embarrass you deeply? Do you deflect them? Receiving appreciation gracefully shows self-confidence. Passing this test means saying thank you and believing positive words. Privacy is another dimension. Do you expose private interactions publicly for validation? Broadcasting early stages of connection can create pressure. Passing this test means protecting sacred spaces. Intimacy grows best in privacy. The intuition test works internally. When something feels misaligned, do you ignore it to keep connection alive? Or do you honor your inner voice? Passing this test is not about pleasing another person. It is about remaining loyal to yourself. Ironically, self-loyalty increases respect from others. Emotional depth is evaluated gradually. Surface conversation sustains initial interest. Depth sustains long-term bond. Passing this test means balancing lightness with meaningful insight. Share perspectives, dreams, reflections. Intellectual connection strengthens attraction. Time management is observed too. Chronic lateness communicates disregard. Reliability communicates maturity. Passing this test means respecting commitments. Gratitude is powerful. Appreciation for small gestures multiplies goodwill. Entitlement diminishes it. Passing this test means noticing effort and acknowledging it sincerely. The adaptability test appears when environments change. Meeting friends, attending events, navigating unfamiliar settings. Flexibility signals confidence. Passing this test means staying composed wherever you are. The energy test is perhaps the most silent of all. Are you peaceful to be around or chaotic? Calm presence is deeply attractive because it feels safe. Passing this test means regulating your nervous system. Practice mindfulness. Cultivate inner stillness. Trustworthiness is assessed subtly. Do you keep private matters confidential? Do you speak with integrity about past relationships? Passing this test means demonstrating loyalty through actions, not declarations. The ambition compatibility test unfolds slowly. Do life visions align? Are goals supportive or conflicting? Passing this test means having clarity about your future and communicating it honestly. Alignment cannot be forced, it must be discovered. When affection grows, another silent test emerges. Can you receive love without self-sabotage? Sometimes when care deepens, fear activates. Overthinking begins. Distance is created artificially. Passing this test means allowing healthy affection to exist without pushing it away. The maturity test appears in how you handle disappointment. Not every expectation will be met perfectly. Can you adjust without dramatizing? Passing this test requires emotional resilience. There is also the dignity test. During disagreement or distance, do you maintain grace or attempt to provoke jealousy? Reactionary behavior lowers value. Poise elevates it. Self-growth orientation is quietly admired. Are you committed to becoming better each year? Reading, learning, healing, evolving. Passing this test means investing in yourself consistently. The respect test is constant. Do you respect differences in opinion or insist on being right? Intellectual humility strengthens connection. Passing this test means embracing dialogue over dominance. Energy reciprocity becomes noticeable. Are you the only one initiating, or does effort flow both ways? Passing this test also involves observing whether reciprocity exists. A woman does not overextend where energy is not returned. She mirrors investment without chasing. The alignment test ultimately decides sustainability. Shared values matter more than surface chemistry. Passing this test means being honest about non-negotiables early enough to prevent resentment later. Throughout all these silent evaluations, the core principle remains the same: stay rooted in self-worth. The woman who passes every test is not the woman who performs flawlessly. She is the woman who remains authentic under observation. She does not shrink to secure approval. She does not exaggerate to appear impressive. She does not panic when uncertainty appears. She trusts that if connection is meant to deepen, it will do so naturally through mutual respect and emotional maturity. Understanding that tests exist should not create anxiety. It should create awareness. Awareness allows preparation. Preparation builds confidence, and confidence transforms energy. When your focus shifts from how do I impress to how do I remain aligned with my highest self, everything changes. Attraction built on authenticity lasts longer than attraction built on performance. Remember, silent tests are not about domination. They are about assessment of compatibility, maturity, and emotional safety. Just as you observe quietly, evaluation happens on both sides. When you begin to see yourself as the prize too, dynamics shift beautifully. You stop trying to pass tests and start observing whether standards are being met consistently. That mindset alone increases power. The real secret is this: when self-respect becomes non-negotiable, when emotional stability becomes practiced daily, when boundaries become clear and kind, when independence remains intact, when vulnerability is balanced with strength, you pass tests effortlessly because you are no longer trying to. You are simply being. And being grounded, being secure, being emotionally intelligent is the most irresistible energy a woman can carry. And when awareness deepens even further, you begin to recognize that many of these silent evaluations are not strategic games, but reflections of evolutionary instinct and psychological safety. A man instinctively looks for signs of peace, loyalty, adaptability, and strength because long-term partnership requires more than attraction. It requires emotional shelter. If your presence feels chaotic, unpredictable, or constantly demanding reassurance, the nervous system on the other side does not relax. But when your presence feels centered, when your words are measured, when your reactions are thoughtful rather than impulsive, something powerful happens. Safety is established. Safety builds attachment. Attachment builds depth. Depth builds longevity. There is also a test of reaction to masculine leadership energy. When decisions are suggested, do you immediately resist out of ego, or can you collaborate without feeling controlled? Healthy feminine strength is not about competition. It is about contribution. Collaboration shows maturity. Passing this test means expressing your preferences clearly while remaining open to partnership. I appreciate that idea, and I would love to add this perspective. That tone preserves respect while maintaining individuality. Resistance for the sake of dominance creates friction. Balanced cooperation creates harmony. Another subtle test appears around social media behavior. Oversharing, attention-seeking posts, or public flirting send signals about validation needs. A grounded woman does not require constant external applause. She understands that mystery and discretion elevate value. When your life is not constantly displayed for approval, it communicates depth. Passing this test involves self-awareness about digital presence. What you post should reflect authenticity, not insecurity. Emotional discipline during mood swings is another silent observation. Everyone has off days. Everyone experiences hormonal shifts, stress, fatigue. The question is not whether moods exist. It is how they are handled. Do you communicate, "I'm feeling overwhelmed today, I may need a little quiet time," or do you project frustration outward? Emotional ownership is powerful, blame is draining. Passing this test means recognizing feelings as yours to regulate, not weapons to discharge. There is also a test of how you speak about your past. Bitterness about former relationships can signal unresolved wounds. Accountability signals growth. When discussing history, balance is key. Acknowledge lessons without dwelling in resentment. Passing this test means showing evolution. Growth is attractive because it promises fewer repeated cycles. Physical presence itself communicates silent information. Posture, eye contact, tone of voice, pace of speech. Do you shrink physically, avoiding eye contact, speaking in uncertainty? Or do you carry yourself with calm assurance? Confidence does not require arrogance. It requires alignment between body and mind. Passing this test means embodying self-belief physically. Stand tall. Maintain gentle eye contact. Speak clearly. These nonverbal cues communicate stability before words ever do. Financial expectations can also become an unspoken evaluation. Entitlement repels. Appreciation attracts. When generosity is offered, gratitude strengthens bonds. When it is demanded, tension grows. Passing this test means valuing thoughtfulness over material display. Emotional investment matters more than price tags. The intellectual stimulation test quietly unfolds over time. Can conversations expand beyond surface topics? Are you curious about ideas, growth, global perspectives, personal development? Intellectual depth keeps attraction alive long after physical novelty fades. Passing this test means nurturing your mind continuously. Read, reflect, think critically, bring substance into dialogue. Handling delayed gratification is another subtle marker. Not everything progresses instantly. Chemistry might be strong, but true connection matures gradually. Can you enjoy the present without anxiously forecasting the future? Passing this test requires mindfulness. Stay in the moment. Allow unfolding. Then comes the space test. When distance appears temporarily due to work, family, or personal focus, do you interpret it as rejection or do you respect autonomy? Clinging suffocates. Respecting space builds anticipation. Passing this test means maintaining your rhythm even when communication slows. Let absence strengthen appreciation instead of creating panic. The generosity of spirit test is powerful. Are you kind only when treated perfectly, or does your character remain steady? Consistency in kindness reflects authenticity. Passing this test means acting from values, not reactions. Emotional reciprocity becomes increasingly important as connection deepens. Do you only receive support, or do you also provide it? Emotional partnership is mutual. Passing this test means being attentive to needs without losing yourself. Offer encouragement, offer understanding, offer warmth. Another silent test appears when disagreement involves core values. Do you compromise integrity to avoid conflict, or can you respectfully stand firm? Strength shows in calm conviction. Passing this test means honoring your principles without hostility.